All right. All right. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining us today. It is beautiful out, so I know you've got probably some fun plans. So we'll hopefully try to be as productive in this hour as we can. And then we will start basically week one of the next 4 weeks helping you build your action plan. As Angela has noted, business plan is
Mhm.
so overused, and we kind of want to avoid that phrase. So we're going to talk about action, getting into action for 2025. Um, and I know that this feels like it might be early because we're still in 2024 and we're hoping to finish, the end of the year strong. But as you guys know, if you've been in the business any amount of time, that, what we did probably last month is showing up, or the last couple months is showing up really as our fourth quarter here in 2024. So we want to put our plan together in October here, get our plan for our action plan for 2025 together so that we can start doing those activities in November and December. So those results will show up in the first couple months of 2025. So you just have a really great start to your new year. Okay. So before we kick off the action plan training today, Aaron, any updates in the market real quick? Can you give us a overview?
Yeah, just as a reminder, I know before we started recording, we were talking a little bit about this being an election year and there being a lot of movement in the market, and there's a lot of factors that go into interest rates. Please remember that it is when the Feds make an announcement that is short-term interest rates, that doesn't actually directly correlate with our interest rates. Our interest rates actually move before the Fed actually does anything. And they are volatile right now. For example, yesterday, when I locked a loan, it was at 5.99 on a 30-year fixed, which was great. But at the time, it cost 30 to get. So technically, our par interest rate, where the client got a little money back, was 6.125. They were willing to pay the $600 to get the 5.99, right? Now this morning, when I'm looking at the exact same loans, I still have it in the system, and I pulled it up. It's costing 5 basis points or only like 106, $108. So interest rates are fluid on a daily basis. It's not so much the interest rate itself that moves, but the price that correlates with them. So you can always get the 5.99 at 9 o'clock. It might cost you $100. At 7 o'clock p.m., it might cost you $800. It just kind of depends on when you lock. So stay on top of that. If money's tight, if you had those conversations with the client about what kind of reserves they have and everything, and stay in front of your loan officer. But otherwise, not a whole lot of interesting one-offs that I've seen over the last couple of weeks to give you guys any heads up on. But other than that, if you guys have any direct questions for me, don't hesitate to just use me as leverage to give you a quote for another bank to get your client the best deal, or just ask me some basic questions. If I can help out, I'd be happy to.
Awesome. Thanks, Aaron. Yeah, Angela and I were just talking. It'll be interesting to kind of see how this all plays out this year and what happens. And we'll just stay tuned, I guess. So let me share my screen here. Um, nope, that's not going to work. Hold on. You can see Zoom. Hang on a second. Let me do this. Can you see that, you guys, the action plan?
Yep.
Okay.
You
Uh,
can see the Zoom.
we see
You can't,
Zoom.
you can't
Okay.
see action plan.
Okay. Let's do this. Let me,
It happens to me every time I share screen. It
yeah,
never pulls up right exactly what you're at. It's so
yeah.
frustrating.
So hang on a second. Oh, I can't get
There's a
my,
difference between the screen and the tab.
Do you have the action plan in a tab, or is it a
well, you would think I would, but I had it minimized and I thought I could. So let me just do this. I'm going to do desktop, share, and then let's do this. Can you see that now?
yes?
Yes.
Okay. See, I'm not techie, but I can figure this stuff out if you just give me an hour. All right. Well, all right. So again, welcome to 2025 Action Plan. And Angela Howard's with us this morning. She's usually with us, but She is a phenomenal business coach, you guys, and she has this sweet exterior and she's like the most wonderful person in the world, but she's a bulldog. She gets stuff done and she is going to help me out as we go through this today. If anybody else has any comments, feel free to chime on in. This isn't so much fun just listening to people talk. I love participation. So
Mhm.
without further ado here, what you guys can expect over the next basically 4 weeks as we go through is we're going to talk about our mantra, which is DTFW, do the frickin' work, right? We always have a great plan. It's like trying to lose weight. There's 1,000 diets out there and they probably all work if we did the work, but none of those will be successful if we aren't going to do it, right? So we'll talk a little bit more about that and getting the right mindset to move forward. Again, minimal presenting. We have this little PowerPoint gives us kind of an outline, but really we want you guys to do the plan and build your plan so that by the end of October here, you have a really good solid outline and a good solid plan for 2025. And of course you can, go beef it up when we're done, as specific as you want, but you're going to have a really good solid plan to start for 2025. High levels of participation again. Want you guys to chime in with experiences, stories, sharing your ideas for 2025. KISS, we want to keep it super simple. Sometimes you can get really into the weeds, especially when we get into the numbers. And I'm going to try to, when we hit that week of really breaking down your individual numbers, I'm going to try to keep it as simple as possible so that we don't all get, the deer in the headlights look. We are going to go over business plan systems like the 135 and the 411. And if most of you have probably heard of those in one way or another, but if not, we will go into depth with those and also talk about a perfect week calendar, how to really set your calendar up for success in 2025. And we've all talked about it. We've all even done it. I can say personally, I've planned it. I've put it in place, but if you're not going to hold that calendar sacred, it doesn't matter, right? So we're going to talk about that. We'll talk about setting your goals. We're going to do some goal setting work and strategy work on how to break those down and again, to minimize it to daily activities so that you're not overwhelmed by the big goal for your year. And then hopefully again, by the end, you're going to walk away with your numbers and a real good rough draft plan to set 2025 into action. Okay. So the whole success of what you do starts really with your mindset, right? Here's a couple quotes why 90% is more of success, or why 90% or more of success is your mindset. Because really, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. Okay. So how many times have we heard say positive affirmations, stop being so negative. You've got to stop the negative self-talk, right? Because honestly, I'm going to flip up this next thing. Here are some fun facts, and this is what we're talking about. We speak a minimum of 50 words a minute or 3,000 words an hour to ourselves. So what are we saying to ourselves, right? Are we saying we can do it? Are we saying have a great day? Are we saying we're the best salespeople out there? Or are we saying we can't do it? We're tired today. I'm so tired of people in the economy, right? So what are you telling yourself? Are you positive or are you negative? Your reality depends on 3% only from your conscious thinking, but 90% of your unconscious beliefs. So you can say the right words, but if deep down you don't believe them, they're not going to come to fruition, right? So your unconscious thinking and your beliefs are what really drive you. And I've heard Angela say this 100 times. Your conscious is your goal setter, but your subconscious is your goal getter, right? So again, you can set your goals, we can talk about them, we can write them down, but your subconscious is really what's going to drive you to get into action and achieve those goals. Okay. And the last one, your subconscious mind records what you do and think as to be what you must want, right? So if you're doing the right activities, if you're thinking the right things, if you're saying those positive affirmations, your subconscious mind is going to slowly kick into believe that that's what you want, right? So those good, repetitive, positive actions and thoughts are what you want to start doing and thinking, right? So that your subconscious mind gets on board. Okay.
Yeah.
I was just this past week up in Duluth for Realtor Unite, and they had a really great guest speaker. And one of his little fun facts about your mind and kind of your positive, negative thinking is he said 80% of our thoughts a day are negative. And on average, we have somewhere between 12, I mean, any one of us can be anywhere about 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts a day, right? So think about if 80% of those are negative, and then the kicker was 95% of that 80% are carried over from the day before. So if you had a bad day, you're already starting the next day with 97% of those negative thoughts already starting your new day, right? So you've really got to start, doing some, again, positive mind work. And when we get into our calendar, that like the perfect week calendar, we'll kind of talk about maybe just time blocking some morning time or whatever, whenever you get up, or maybe it's the end of the day time, but I think you should start the day just with some positive, positive vibe setting for your morning and to get your day started. Angela, anything you want to
Yeah.
carry?
No, I think that is just unbelievable that that stat you just gave in regards to our thinking. I think we underestimate the power of how important this is, and especially as we're setting goals and working toward achieving goals, because really, if it's like the picture said, 90%, right, is your mindset. Okay, how are we having like a counterpunch to those negative thoughts? And so, what I would say is, okay, everyone here, reflect on where you're at year to date right now versus where you were this time last year in setting a goal into this year.
Mhm.
And when you take the time to think about, is anyone here crushing it and you have far surpassed your goals already this year? Is there anyone here that has?
Mm-mm.
Okay. So none of us have hit our goals that we wanted for 2024. Now let's go back to then, where is our thinking right now? And Kelly, anybody, Keller Williams, you're going to remember this, like write this down. Write it down vertically here. Point far. The letter P, the letter T, the letter F, the letter A, the letter R. Now think about your goals for this year. And I bet you could identify in that point far, the P is your programming. Your programming and your belief system is built by the time you're 6 years old. All right. That starts to create your thinking patterns and habits. So programming leads to thinking, thinking leads to feelings. You're having negative thoughts, you're feeling negative, that leads to your actions, which is what we talked about this. How do we create an action plan, which then leads to your results? So what I would say is look at your 2024 achievements thus far this year. Look at this point far. Where are you getting stuck? And be super vulnerable and honest with yourself, because this is affecting the results that you want, whether it's personal or business. I'm a very high emotion person. I'm a lot about feelings. I get stuck in feelings. And then I don't move toward the actions that I need to take to hit the goals that I want to hit. So, what I would say is, like, again, when you're creating your plan and reflecting on the past, 10 months that we've had this year, maybe it's 9 months, right? We're going into fourth quarter. Where are you getting stuck? Identify that. Okay. Super important, because again, like you said, if we're sitting there in negative, we're not going to hit our goals.
Mhm.
So does anyone kind of resonate with you about when you're reflecting on your year? Does anyone want to share where they got stuck maybe?
I know personally for us, we just got caught up in some personal stuff, some surgeries, some things like that, and we kind of have focused on that. And then now we've just, it's kind of that roller coaster, right? Things were going great, 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 great. We've taken some time down, and now we're down here, and we've got to build that back up, right? And we've got to get motivated. And this is when we talk about negative thoughts, this is kind of the time of the year where things just generally slow down. So mentally, we're slowing down, right? And we can't do that. You can't let your foot off the gas. You got to keep pushing through. So,
Yeah, I would just say be very mindful of your feelings. Like even going into this uncertainty of the market with NAR settlements and things like that, right? There was so much talk and fear thrown out there, which really created a lot of uncertainty where we just had a powerful panel where agents came on and they're thinking opportunity. And guess what? They took all that fear mongering and that talk, and rather than thinking about fear, thought about opportunity. And now in the result, they're actually making more with their commissions. So that's just to emphasize the power of your thinking, regardless of your environment.
and just to share an example of your point far, Angela, you guys can probably relate to this. Um, I hate cold calling. I just hate it. And I remember the days of like, okay, I got a cold call, I got, whatever. But when you do it, when you sit down and you do an activity and you get the success, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I set an appointment. Or, maybe you're contacting your sphere of influence, right? And you're like, you've sent a few texts, you got personal, you're trying these new things and whatever, and you're getting some really great feedback or really great results. That's what Angela's talking about, right? You're getting those positive feelings, right? And so
Mhm.
then that puts you into action to do more, and then it reinforces it, right? So it's all about like, I've just got to do this. This is what's going to help my business. Do the actions. It just reinforces that positive behavior. And then I sit there and think, why wasn't I doing this sooner? Look at that. All these new leads, right? And you just have to do it and get in that right mindset to just keep doing the actions, which will reinforce the results. So same with
Absolutely.
working out, right? You guys you're
Yeah.
working out and you start to see the results. You're like, woo, you get motivated and then it makes you want to do the action again. So it just kind of perpetuates that whole thing. But as Angela said, it can work the wrong way too. So we need to get in the right positive mindset. So
Yes.
any other thoughts on that? Okay. All right. I'm not going to go through all of these, but it's really just talking about, do you have a growth mindset or do you have a fixed mindset, right? Are you constantly open-minded and thinking I can learn anything I want to, or I'm either good at it or I'm not, right? When I'm frustrated, I'm going to persevere. I'm going to figure it out. I'll get through it. Or do you give up, right? Failing forward or failing and stopping, right? And having that, I don't want to do it or I don't want to fail, where a lot of people that are growth mindset said, we're going to fail forward. We learn from when we make mistakes, right? So think about what type of mindset you have. Angela, I think you had some great stuff on this last time we went through it. If there's anything to
I
add
think
or anybody have
I
any
think
experiences?
I think same thing. It's just going back to, what your goals are for this coming year. And we used to have like even a growth plan, right? So with your growth mindset, think about your business and what do you need to enhance your skill set around. I think very professional agents here, but do you have a growth mindset around your negotiating skills? Maybe it's your leadership skills, market knowledge, your sales skill set, better understanding economic data, presenting offers, or maybe it's role playing. Think about again going into 2025, having a growth mindset. What is something you'd want to master that is going to enhance the results and get you towards the goals that you want to achieve? And we're moving into a market where the professional agent is going to stand out so much more than the agent that's been winging it or only doing onesie twosie deals, right? So again, your communication skills, like growth, is going to be so important, more so than ever, because I think you're going to stand out all the more and earn more business.
Absolutely. We just went through the NAR stuff, right? And
Yeah.
I'll tell you, you could talk to a handful of agents and you knew exactly who is growth minded and who,
Yeah.
had that growth mindset and who had that fixed mindset, right? People were looking, the growth mindset agents were looking at opportunities. Like, what does this present for us? How can we restructure our business um, model, our buyer presentations, our thing? They were looking at the opportunities that were created from that situation, where the fixed mindset agents were, the sky is falling. What am I going to do? I might even
Yeah.
get out of the business. This is going to kill me, right? So that's a great point. When you start thinking about your action plan for next year, really think about it from that growth mindset of where do I want to be, and what opportunities can I create for my business, to help me get there. Okay. Okay. So as Angela said, a lot of us are maybe ex-Keller agents at one point in time. And Gary Keller, talked really big about his big why, right? And he's probably not the only one. Over the years, I've heard many people talk about really digging deep to give you a reason to do what you do, right? What makes you get up every day and do the activities to reach the goal, right? It doesn't feel real important if it doesn't matter, right? Your big why really matters. So when we talk about what drives you and how you're going to reach those goals in your 2025 action plan here, you have to get really, really clear on what it is. What is your big why? Your why matters definitely if you're going to hit your goal. And the reason we say that is, how do I want to say this? If if you didn't have a deep enough why or a big enough why, it is not going to hurt, right? It's not going to hurt really bad if you don't hit that goal. It might stink. You might go, maybe next year, right? But it's not going to hurt. But if you found something that like it would crush you if you didn't hit that goal, that's going to move you, right? That is going to make you want to get off the dime and do your work, right? What's your saying, Angela? If it doesn't move you, what is your saying?
Well, yeah, if it doesn't move you, what is it? If it doesn't move you, you won't move,
Yeah,
right? So it's kind of
right.
like the saying where logic makes you think, emotion makes you act. So when you spend time and having coached with agents over the years, I've had agents get very stuck on this. Like, I don't really know my big why. And, so they really struggled with how to implement that in their day to day. And so, what I would say to simplify it is whether it's big or it's small, it's got to be super important to you, right? It's got to pull out that fire in your belly to pull you through when life throws us the hard curveballs that we weren't expecting, right? So, you want to be able to write it out. You want to be able to deeply understand why it's important to you. What does it look like? Maybe who is it about? It's really going deeper, and we're hopefully going to have time to do an exercise around that. I'll give you an example, of a coaching session that I had with someone, and it's not really what you think. So if you get scared off by your big why, we literally went through in a 2-minute scenario, going deeper on his why. And at the very end of it, he literally started to cry because he thought his why was this, but when he dug deeper, he realized that he really wanted to just take a trip to Japan. He wanted to set aside enough money to take a trip to Japan because that's where his family was from, and he hadn't seen him in over 5 years. So that when he started to actualize that and feel it and then realize that is his important why. So I'd say don't get caught up in the big why, but what's your important why? Because again, if you've identified that when you're starting to have some negative talk or you're thinking or you're just getting some bad habits, it would be easy to go back to that and be like, no, this is why I'm doing this. I have to push through.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
like Angela said, don't be afraid, you guys. Just it's an exercise that just throws something out on paper. What's really important to you, right? That you think is like your big why, right? Like my family, right? And then the exercise, and then we're going to take just a few minutes to do this, but let's talk through it here. You really need to go levels deep, and we'll say 5 levels deep. Maybe it's 7 levels deep, maybe it's 3 levels deep, right? But what we want you to do is start with what you really believe is important, and then you're going to ask yourself, why is that important to me? Okay. And when you answer that question, you're going to ask yourself that same question again. So if I say my family is my big why is that important to me? I'll say because I want to spend as much time as I can and have as much uh, memorable experiences with my family while I'm still on this earth, right? Well, why is that? So I'm going to go again another level deep. Why is that important to me, right? And so my family is a big general thing, but what we want to do is drill down to something that just feels attainable, that really feels not necessarily attainable because that's a goal, but really feels, like Angela said, is that one thing that is going to push you and get you out of bed and get you off go every day. Okay.
And here's what I would add to that too is, when you go through this exercise, think about where you're at year to date. I mean, you're in the business, you're making money, you want to fund your life, right? So when you're thinking about your why and building out your plan for 2025, what is your actual income goal for 2025? Like write that down right now and stretch yourself.
Okay. So take a minute, think about it.
Take a minute. What is your gross commission income goal for 2025?
Everybody got it?
Everybody have theirs? Yeah.
Okay.
Um, Kelly, do you
Yeah.
mind if I put you on the spot?
No.
Okay. Because I think it's hard to go 5 deep just writing it out on your own, although I highly encourage people to do that.
Mhm.
Kelly, do you mind sharing with me what your income goal is for 2025? Hopefully,
Yes.
Bruce is on board.
Yeah. 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 He is. He'd probably go higher. Mine is 600,000.
Okay. So 600,000 gross commission income.
Mhm.
Kelly, why is earning $600,000 gross commission income important to you?
Because it allows me to start really saving at a level and preparing for my retirement.
Okay. So interesting. Tell me, why is savings and retirement important to you?
Um, well, I don't want to work till I'm 75, so I'd like to retire early and be healthy and at an age where I'm still able to travel and do some things that I'd like to do. And
Okay.
and unfortunately, through life experiences, we've had some parents on both sides that never made it to that, right? They always said they're going to retire, travel, share time together, and spend probably what should have been their golden years. They never made that, right? They never
Okay.
they never got there. So Bruce and I are committed to doing some of that stuff early, and to do that, we got to have money.
Okay. So I think you even alluded into, if I asked again, why is that important to you to retire early and to be healthy? You shared the experience, but tell me a little bit more. Why is it important for you to retire early? And why is it important for you to travel?
Um, again, I think because I don't want to wait till I'm older and potentially unable to do that. I'm a person about experiences and memories versus stuff. And so I want to share that with my husband and my daughter. And I'm even going to go this next step deeper in my saying that I want to have the money to be able to travel with Bruce and I, but also to gift the gift of travel to my daughter so that she can experience that with us on an annual basis.
Okay. And why is that important for you to be able to share that with your daughter?
Because I don't know how many years I'm going to have left, right? We all know tomorrow is not promised to us. So,
Yeah.
she's in her 20s, and it's super important to me to still be a big part of her life and have impact on her life. And I think to do that is more through just experiences and being, spending time with her.
Yeah. And that's beautiful. And I can see the emotion in your face just talking
Yeah.
about that, right?
Yep.
And so, I mean, that is beautiful. And Kelly, having that goal of 600,000 and then you going 5 levels deep, does that help you resonate on why you really want to do this?
Absolutely. Because I
Yeah.
think when you were taking me through that, I also had in the back of my mind, what if I didn't hit that goal? Right? what does that mean if I'm unable to achieve? What do I lose? And that's even a more profound thought for me is if
Yeah.
I didn't have that time to spend with my daughter, what does that mean? And how does that hurt me? So it's very emotional and you should feel a little bit of that when you're going through this exercise for sure.
Yeah, so the pain of not actualizing that is pulling you through,
Yep.
right? And it's going to
Mhm.
get you in the right mindset when you
Mhm.
have those off days. So we didn't plan on doing that, you guys. So Kelly, thank you for being willing to do that. And I hope you guys you can kind of see the importance of going deep because again, a number by itself, $600,000 is not going to move Kelly.
Mhm. Nope.
But if she has this in front of her and she goes back to her why and why this is important to her, those emotions are going to be stirred up again, where she's going to be thinking about her daughter. She's going to be thinking about, retirement and spending travel time with Bruce and enjoying experiences and living the life that she dreamed of living. But if we just go and 2 weeks from now, we do our numbers, it's it's not going to move you. Right. So, what I would say is it's going to be so important for yourself, for your family, for your legacy to be vulnerable and really go deep in the why is this important to me exercise. And I would encourage you to even share with someone or do it with someone else to help them pull through as well. So, thank you for on the cuff doing
Yeah.
that with me. I know that's, yeah,
No,
cool.
and and I don't even know if we'll hit it in one of these other slides, but that is a really good piece of this whole exercise is the accountability factor, right? Once you guys know that, share it with someone who is close to you that's going to help you kind of, be held accountable to that. There was a story from years ago that someone had gotten their big why and it was they had never been on a family vacation. Their big goal was to take their whole family to Disney World, right? I mean, that's what they wanted. If they hit their goals at the end of the year, they were to take the whole family. And he shared it with his kids, with everybody. So they were all in on it, right? Like they all were helping to support him doing the activities he needed to do to reach that goal. And they would remind him, Dad, did you get your appointments today? Dad, did you make your calls today? Because they want to go to Disney World, right? So sharing here's my big why, and this is why I'm doing this, you guys, help me get there, is definitely, I think, a huge tool, in your success tool bag. So don't be afraid to share it.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna chat. Some of you know Rick Jiha. I have he was a phenomenal business coach. He was going bankrupt at 50, changed his life, rebuilt, was really important to him, the why. He kind of has a 10 things about the big why. If anybody ever wants a copy of that, I'm happy to send it to you, Kelly, and you can share that. But if you don't know Rick, he passed away. And then I just think about his legacy, and how he just changed so many lives and then just impacted his family. Like, he really was motivated and moved by having a big why that he was working towards. So, like you said, like we never know, right?
Right.
When our last day is and our lives matter. So, your why is important. So
Yeah,
don't ignore it, is the point.
exactly. You have to start doing it now for sure. So again, as Angela said, I would encourage you guys, you started with your number, your GCI goal, take some time tonight, tomorrow, whatever, to really do the exercise and dig deep. And then hopefully next week we can maybe have a couple of you share, if you're willing to do that, what you came up with. So again, here it is. What is it? That income goal? Why is that important? Go 5 level deep or more if you have to. Okay. And again, knowing your why is really powerful because it's going to help you understand your unique definition of success and it provides you with focus, right? I mean, we all know like the squirrel mentality. It's so hard to get anything done when you start today, and I'm so guilty of this. I'll sit down and I've got something I need to do, and then I'm off on 10 tangents, and then I forget oh yeah, that's what I needed to get done, and I don't even get it done till halfway through the day. So this is going to help you provide focus. We'll talk more about how that how we can help you with your focus when we talk about the calendar in a few weeks here or next week. But yes, and as long as you are taking action consistently on the things that matter towards your why, you will be succeeding. Okay. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it because you don't see the immediate results. But if you're doing the right activities consistently, the results will come, I guarantee you. Okay. So don't give up on it. Just keep moving forward. And there's your saying, if it doesn't move you, it won't make you move, right? So it's got to be big enough, go deep. And if you don't, when you look at your 5 deep, if that doesn't really move you yet, keep going, right? Dig deeper till you almost are in tears thinking about, if this doesn't happen, what am I going to do? Okay. So back to our mindset, a little bit about what we were talking about. What are some of the things that we cannot control in this market?
Interest rates.
What was that?
Interest rates.
Bob, how are you, buddy?
Good. Finally got a good internet connection. God dang, you think Vegas would have good internet here? No. It's terrible. I'm tethering with my phone right now. That's how bad it is.
Well, we appreciate you working hard to connect here.
Yeah,
So,
sorry I'm late.
yeah,
Sorry
no worries. So interest rates, you're right. We have no control over those. What else? What can we not control about our market?
NAR settlement changes.
Exactly. Exactly. Yep, we cannot control what's happening with the lawsuits or future lawsuits, right? We know that that's all going on behind the scenes. Anything else? What about the election, right? We have no control about what's going to happen with this election and how that might affect our economy, right? We have no control about inventory, right? Which is probably a direct result from the interest rates or part of it, right? But we have no control about inventory and if we're going to be in a buyer's or a seller's market, right? So all of those things we can't control. Don't waste your time worrying or thinking about it. You can't control them. They are what they are. They are part of the world. They're part of our daily, process. But what we want to do is we want to focus on the things that we can control. Like we have this saying with our sellers every day, right? Don't worry about the things you can control. What are the things you can control? Price, condition, right? Those are the things you can control. So let's focus on those things. As agents, we need to do the same thing. Don't worry about the things we can't control. Let's focus on the things we can control. So what are those things that we can control in this market?
Well, we talked a lot about today our mindset, right? We
Absolutely.
can control our mindset of how we approach this market.
Anyone else?
Our schedules, our work schedule, we can control that and how we're creating conversations about real estate to create ultimately closings.
Yep. Awesome.
I think we can control our education. You know, what we choose to learn about, which is a lot right now.
Yeah. Exactly. What are you putting in your brain, right? What do they say? Garbage in, garbage out. Learn, embrace, always be, growing. That's good. How about you, Lisa? Anything?
I was just thinking about attitude and actions.
That's huge.
Yep. Okay.
And part of that would be how you're communicating with your, clients, but also your sphere. And you can control completely how you're sharing anything with them or how you're following up with them or how often.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. So here are some things that we definitely, and you guys have hit on most of these here. We talked about mindset. We can definitely control our mindset. We can definitely control our lead generation, right? Like Bob says, your calendar, doing those actions. You can control your consistency of your actions and what you're doing. You can control your habits. Are you doing good ones? Are you doing not so good ones? We can change those. We can put in good systems and models in place, right? You can change and have control over accountability. Do you guys have an accountability partner? Do you have a team? Do you have a friend? Do you have somebody do you have a family who's holding you accountable to your actions so you can reach your goal, right? So you guys can control those things. And as Jen mentioned, you can control your market knowledge, that you're always staying educated in our industry. We have an industry that is always changing. So, it doesn't matter if you're new or you're like Bob and I, and we've been in this business for 20 some years, right? We're always learning and growing because our industry is always changing and evolving, right? There was a thing that says if you're what is it? If you're growing, you'll survive. If you're not growing, they'll die. Or it's like a flower, right? You grow, you keep growing, and you cultivate that. If you're not growing, you're dying, and we're picking you out and throwing you out in the bag, right? So you've got to keep growing and learning. And those are the things that you guys can control. So I would say focus on this list when you're thinking about your action plan for next year. Think of the things that you can control and what actions, what activities, what habits, what accountability, what consistency, what mindset, what will you be building into this action plan for 2025 that is coordinated around the things that you can control. Okay.
Yeah, and I would just add to that, having this list of controllables and thinking that these are the pillars that are going to lead to our results or the success that we want. And I did this with the exercise with others as well. Take a minute right now. Jot down each one of these items and rank it. And when I say rank it, if it's a mindset, 1, you're completely sucking at it and your mindset is, in the garbage can. 2, 10, I am so positive my mindset is helping me reach the results I want to reach, and I'm just crushing it, and it's all because of my mindset. Take a minute right now, literally, and go through each one of these and give it a ranking.
Did you say 1 to 10?
1 to 10.
Okay.
1 mean I'm awful at it right now and I don't have anything in my daily habits or in my systems which is going to help me reach my goals. So again, 1 awful, 10 you're knocking it out of the ballpark. And I think you have to be really honest with yourself, because as we go into building out your plan, these are the core pillars of, again, how are you getting consistency in your activities around these things? And maybe you then create a growth plan to help you raise that up from a 3 to a 9.
As I'm doing this is like actually quite eye-opening.
That's why I'm making us stop, right? Because we got to go deeper with it and be honest with ourselves. And it's probably painful
the
for
reality
me.
is be honest for sure.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I need to go apply a quick trip after looking at this.
Hey,
Stop
no
it.
negative thoughts, Jen.
Like 1, 1, 1, 5, 2, 1, 5.
Right, but recognizing and then making a decision to take action to improve. It's kind of like Kelly said, once you start to feel something good because you took action on it, you'll continue to start taking more action. So if you're stuck in point far, like we talked about earlier in the feelings, like I'm going to go get a job somewhere else, right? That's just going to continue to carry forward. So being super honest and giving yourself a ranking in these areas, I think will help us get into action more so than just kind of looking at them and like, oh yeah, we know that. No, let's evaluate ourselves.
Well, and I think the other thing is cut yourself a little bit of slack too, as you guys are doing this and you're being honest. And if you are a 1, which I do have a 1 on here, if you have that, again, don't be discouraged by that. I think that's an opportunity for growth, right? This is where you can really find that you can improve and create either some new systems or plans for next year around improving that and just look at that as a growth opportunity for sure. So anybody want to share what they have for their numbers? I know there's only 6 of them here. Jen? Oop, I can't hear you.
You muted yourself again, honey. Jen, you muted yourself. There you go.
There we go. I never know when Bill's going to talk or the dogs are going to bark or, you know. Um, no, I honestly, I know that I really am bad at lead generation. I'm so bad at that. So I gave myself a 1. So I need to get better. I need to, really jump into that. Um, I think I'm making myself worse than I am, you know, but I think my mindset, that's always a challenge. I think I could probably not a 1. I'm probably a 5 on that one. Um, Consistency, I'm okay. Accountability, I don't have an accountability partner at all. So that's probably something that would help, I think jump to that next level that I want to be at. And I think market knowledge, I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And as I open my book up, this is what I see in my book. Can you see that?
Yeah, you're scribbling.
Yeah, looks like my granddaughter got a hold of my book. So talk about the big why right across the page from, my numbers.
Yeah, well, we should talk because I don't have an accountability partner. I say I have Bruce, but he's the worst accountability partner ever. And he would say I'm the same. So I'm not, we've had this conversation. Husband wives sometimes are not the best accountability. You let things slide, right? It's too easy. So having somebody that isn't going to let things slide, that's going to hold you accountable,
Mhm.
I think that's important. So if you don't have someone, this is where an Angela comes in, right? Get a coach, hire a business coach or hire a coach that is going to help you and hold you accountable because that's what they're, getting paid to do, right? So they're not going to let stuff slide. They're going to ask you the hard questions and make you commit. So, maybe that's something for your 2025 action plan. If you don't have one in place this year, maybe that is a step that you can move, in the direction for next year that will really help boost your business. Any other
What I
questions?
would say too, I was just gonna say, Kelly, too, like if there was one of these that really stood out to you, circle it and create even just a 30-day plan for it.
Yep.
Take action. And this could be something that you're going to incorporate when we start to build out your 135 business plan. But if you truly identify that, okay, it's lead generation, what can you do between now and the next 30 days to start to incorporate that and create some habits around it or a system, even just 30 days. And I think you would be absolutely shocked if you held yourself accountable to that at the end of 30 days, what that looks like.
Well, and when we get further into this month, you guys, we're going to talk about, taking this big goal that you have and breaking it down into simple steps. That's exactly what Angela is saying is don't get overwhelmed by the big, like, oh, I've got to do this. Set something up for a small, trackable, easy, bite-sized step versus the big, the whole full Monty here. Okay.
If I may, jump in. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
Yep.
All right. So I'm down here at the Unlock convention for Zillow in Las Vegas right now, and I've been for the last 3 days hanging out with a variety of large team leaders who are leveraging technology like Zillow to generate leads. And part of that process, obviously, is their team has to be very efficient in following up with these leads, especially if they're part of the Flex program with Zillow, because Zillow is constantly tracking those leads to ensure they're going to get ultimately closings and get paid at the end of the transaction. So the two things that are really the focus for the team agents are the consistency and the habits.
Mm.
And so basically what we've found in talking with all the agents is a lot of these systems are totally built out for the agents to be successful. The difference between those that are successful and those that aren't are the ones that are consistently utilizing the systems and time blocking and creating habits in utilizing the system. So this is a really applicable piece right here. Specifically, I like how it's in the middle too, because this is the guts of it, I would say, as far as being successful. And of course, you have to have that mindset. A lot of us get in the mindset of like, oh, this market stinks. We have no inventory. Interest rates are high. There's no deals out there. There's plenty of deals out there. I'm hanging out with people who are doing 5, 6, 700 deals a year, and there's plenty of deals out there. The difference is we have to work harder for them, and in order for us to be successful, we have to have the habits and the consistency to do it. So this is a really key piece that I want to just kind of highlight, and and it's at the forefront of where I'm at right now here today at this convention.
That's a great point, Bob, because
Yeah.
part of what you just said, outside of building the consistency and the habits, is getting in the right rooms, you guys. Bob's putting himself in a bigger room, right, with bigger producers, people who are doing business at a level that he wants to do, or that, that brings something new to the table. Especially for those of us who have been in this business for a long time, we get very set. We're kind of limited by who's around us, right? So expand the room that you're in, get in front of different people, go to those trainings, get out there and really, like I said, learn from people who have really walked before us, and do it in a higher level. So thanks, Bob, for that share.
Great share.
Okay, let's see. Did I click off it here? Oh, there we go. So Angela alluded to this a little bit earlier. I will put a copy of this on Empire Masterminds too, so you don't have to try to remember it, or if you want to take a screenshot, great. These are some important questions as you start thinking about setting up your action plan for next year. What do you want to achieve in your business? And you can do this for business and personal. We'll stick to business for right now. What do you want to achieve in the next 5 years? And I know we're talking 2025 action plan, but thinking big and thinking big picture, you need to do a little bit of that, because it will help you think about the things that you need to do now that will also get you where you need to go in 5 years. Not everything can be accomplished in 12 months, right? So if we have bigger 5-year goals, we can put some things in place that will start to get us on that 5-year track. Like for me, retirement, maybe not quite 5 years, but if Bruce were here, Bruce would be telling you that's probably part of his 5-year plan, is to be retired in about 5 years. So what do you want to achieve in the next 5 years? What do you want to achieve for your business in the next year, right? What do you want to achieve in your business in the next 6 months? So like Angela said, you don't have to think always big. What are you going to accomplish in the next 30 days or the next, 180 days, right? What went well for you this past year? Make a list of the things that you just rocked it out on, right? What just like brought you great results? What was something that made you feel good, that got you excited about your job again? And I would even share with you guys, this NAR settlement, as much as we were shook up, this got me excited about my business again, because it really got me back to like, I love really doing the consulting part and really, educating people. So, what went well for you? What didn't go well? So reflect on what are the things that didn't go well and maybe why, kind of ask yourself a couple questions as to why didn't it? What did I do? What could I do differently? What changes do I need to make for 2025 to make it a successful year? So what are some of those things that you would change when you reflect on what went well and what didn't go well? It could be, maybe you're changing your systems, maybe you're changing your presentations, maybe you're adding to your team, right? Adding staff members, whatever. What obstacles do you need to overcome? What opportunities have you not been taking advantage of? Bob brought up a great one. He's at a conference. We are with EXP. I think most of us on here are with EXP. If you're not, I'm sure your brokerage has some opportunities, but there are so many masterminds and free training and certifications and things like that you can be taking advantage of, that will open up new venues and new lines of business. So what are you not taking advantage of as far as opportunities? Go ahead. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm good.
How can you leverage yourself to take advantage of these opportunities, right? Are you a one-man team, and then if you leave to go to a convention and someone's not there helping you run your day-to-day business, that's probably going to stop you from going to some of these trainings, right? So do you need maybe a showing assistant while you're gone? Do you need a partner within EXP to help you cover your business so you can get out and do more things? Do you need to add to your team because you're just so overwhelmed, right? You want to add your administrative assistant. What are those things? What support do you need to get there? And what do you need to get there? What are you doing that you need to stop right now? This is a big one for me. What do you do that sabotages you every day from hitting your goals, right? Like I am the worst. I can talk all day long about doing the right things, but I am, if you guys really looked at what I did every day, you'd just be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this woman's doing a mastermind every week. Like literally, I am like we're going to talk about a calendar, getting up and getting your positive mindset. I'm the girl that hates mornings, right? So, I have a long list of things that I need to stop right now so that I don't sabotage myself from hitting those goals. And then again, we talked about the accountability. Who is going to hold us accountable? So again, find your accountability, whether it's your family, your wife, your husband, your kids, an accountability partner, a coach. Put that accountability piece into your business and your action plan for next year. Okay. So I'll post this list of questions, but really take some time. You owe it to yourself to really dig down deep because this, I think, is the foundation for your action plan. If you don't know the answers to these questions, then how do we know, what things to put into place for next year? Okay.
Mhm.
Anything anybody wants to add on that?
I just
I
want to
have,
say,
go ahead, Bob.
I just want to say that I think thanks for your vulnerability, Kelly. That's an important piece when you're going through this business plan is really understanding your weaknesses, right? One of my main weaknesses is I need to delegate more. I take on way too much stuff myself, and therefore my productivity goes down because I'm pulled in a lot of different directions, and I need to make sure I'm offsetting some of that stuff to people who are probably better at doing it. And to Angela's point too, to just be really honest as you're scoring, as you're going through these questions and whatnot, because that's only going to make you better. And then you know what to focus on. Like, for instance, if you know you're not good at lead generation, there's a lot of opportunities to learn how to generate leads. If you know you're not good at time blocking, there's a lot of ways to learn how to effectively time block. So the more vulnerable you are and honest with yourself, the better you are to be able to kind of make those weaknesses a little bit better.
For sure. Yeah, you're only hurting yourself, you guys. If you go through this and you make your business and your year sound rosy and beautiful because you don't want to admit you've got some faults and you've got some holes, that need to be filled or improved in your business, you're only hurting yourself. So, nobody's looking over your shoulder as you're answering these questions. When you were saying that, Bob, I was thinking every time you go to the doctor's office and they go, do you drink? And I go, yeah, I drink. And they go, well, how many drinks do you have a week? And I kind of go, oh God, do I really tell him the truth? Because he's probably gonna set me up for AA right then. But I mean, you have to be honest with yourself, right? I mean, so don't sugarcoat it.
Right.
Throw it out there, the good, the bad, the ugly, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
But just for my pharmaceutical world, no matter what you tell the doctor, they times it by 3. So just be aware of that.
Then I am in trouble.
I was just going to add one final thought before we go here. I really reflect on and think about when the saying where they say you overestimate what you can do in 1 year and you underestimate what you can do in 5 years. And so I think, even what Bob said about being with top leaders and where it's all about consistency and habits, don't give up on, creating enhancements in those areas because 1 year, 5 years from now, if you stay committed, could be a life changer for you.
For sure, for sure. And when we get to the goal setting week, which next week we're going to start talking about that, that's what we're going to talk. You got to think big, right? Don't underestimate what you can do. Throw out the big ones and we'll work towards it, right? So again, thank you guys so much today for joining us. Next week, we're going to really talk about setting those goals, reviewing those important questions that we just talked about. Maybe a few of you might be willing to share what you wrote down and some of the things that you want to look to improve for next year. We're going to go over some of those strategies, the 1-3-5, setting those priorities around our goals, and then really looking at our calendar and setting up our daily and weekly calendar for success for those actions. Okay. And any final thoughts before we head out?
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
No,
Awesome.
thanks, everybody.
Yeah. Thanks you guys for showing up. Bob, have a lot of fun in Vegas and just
Actually coming home tonight, so I'm wrapping up the trip.
okay. Well, travel safe and you guys have a great rest of your week and we'll see you next week.
Bye, everyone.
Right. Thanks.
Thank
Yep.
you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.